and we do hope you enjoy the show. And again, my name is Shana Trieger. I'm from the National Apartment Association Education Institute. I'm the Director of Instructional Design, and I'm going to pass it over to one of our three great panelists today. Rob?
Hi, everyone. I'm Rob Rector with Gables Residential. I'm a human resources generalist as well as a recruiter for Gables.
Hi, everyone. My name is thanks, Rob. My name is Michelle Betchner. I'm the VP of Performance at Pinnacle Families Companies based in Dallas, Texas. And my department consists of marketing and training and new business development for the organization. Jamie?
Hey, everybody. My name is Jamie Presky. I'm a recruiter with Equity Residential. I'm based in our Washington, D.C. metro area recruiting for D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. We do have locations in other parts of the country as well. And before working in human resources and recruiting, I did work on-site in the apartment industry, also for Equity as a leasing consultant, a leasing manager, and a property manager. So I'm excited to be talking to everybody today.
Great. Thank you, Jamie, Rob, and Michelle. Before we get started with our content today, I'm going to share with the audience a quick video about careers in apartment management. The video is about 8 minutes long, and we hope you enjoy it.
What I like about the apartment industry is that my day is never the same. What I love about working in the industry is working with different people.
The benefits are great. The need for housing will never go away.
I like helping people because it gives me flexibility for my family.
Skills I can take anywhere.
The opportunity for advancement.
The commission checks are definitely not bad.
It's exciting, all the people that you get to meet.
What I enjoy about working in the apartment industry is that every single day is different. I'm Jim, and I'm the maintenance director.
My name is Amy, and I am the regional facilities manager.
I'm Jason. I'm the maintenance director. I was 17 years old. I just graduated from high school. I was actually starting at a business school up in Boston, down on Conneaut called Bay State College. I got a part-time cleaning job. They call it a glorified maintenance supervisor job for two condominium buildings. They were about 25 feet, 30 feet from Fenway Park. I could go to the roof of one of the buildings and I could see half of the big screen.
I got started in the apartment industry as a leasing consultant many years ago, and really just felt like I found my niche, the great industry, helping people find homes.
I started out doing construction, $7 an hour. I couldn't make ends meet at some point in time. I was living in an apartment and they needed a maintenance tech. So I started working for them on the side, and then they brought me on full time. Ever since then, it's been history, I guess. I went to a little larger company and took a step back and became a building superintendent for just one building. Had to learn the ropes of high-rise buildings and learn more different building systems and designs and plumbing and electrical and HVAC to then getting 2 buildings and then getting 3 buildings and then realizing that I was young and I was hungry and needed more.
The properties that I was involved with were very capital driven, lots of construction projects, renovations. So when the opportunity to become a facilities manager arose, I just felt like it was another way for me to challenge myself and continue into a slightly different direction with my career.
There's an entry-level position, technician level, and as a tech, you don't need a lot of skills, but you need the drive and determination. And you need the right attitude. And you come in and the desire to help people. And if you come in with that, you can start out as a technician. You can get certifications through the education department with our company, as well as many other companies. And you can build your skill set. I've taken that in less than 4 years and turned it into the position I'm in now. Now I'm hiring guys like me. I'm supervising a multi-million-dollar renovation project. The benefits of working in the apartment industry are the training, on-the-job training as well as in the classroom training. You get the ability to work with our hands, both on-site, helping out with other properties. Hey, my name is Adam, and I'm a leasing agent.
My name is Shalonda. I was a leasing consultant, and now I'm an assistant property manager.
I'm April. I'm an assistant property manager.
Well, I started in the apartment industry as a part-time administrative assistant while I was in high school, and I actually continued throughout college part-time. And when I graduated, they offered me a full-time position.
How I started was I was living on the upper coast, living on the west coast, and my girlfriend got a job in Washington, D.C. So we kind of picked up and just traveled cross-country, and I ended up just applying for a variety of jobs.
While I was in college, leasing was a great job for me because I was able to get very flexible hours. I worked pretty much Thursday through Sunday.
It's different every day because you're dealing with people from literally, I mean, all over the world. So you have different people, different backgrounds. Everyone has different needs, and like I said, everyone has a story.
Well, being a leasing consultant, it gets you out of the office. You have to walk the property, show people around.
And leasing, you're offered a base pay. In addition, there's commission paid for every move-in, and there's also a commission paid for renewals, so resident retention pays as well.
Advancement is endless. I moved up from leasing consultant to assistant manager very quickly.
They're going to try to find the best fit for you in the company, so you get to explore different options within the company.
Hi, I'm Shannon, and I'm a community manager.
I'm John, and I'm a community manager.
Hi, I'm Suja. I'm a community manager. My name is Shania, and I am a property manager.
I'm Reggie, and I'm an assistant vice president of transactions.
Hi, I'm Cecil, sales and marketing manager.
I actually got started by a friend who worked for the company. I really came in because it sounded like an interesting thing to do. I started at the front desk. As I look back at my career and how it's progressed, I think I owe a lot of that progression to the foundation I received from Virginia Tech, which has a residential property management program. I came in as a business major. I was business marketing in college, and really got to apply that in the daily communication with residents.
I graduated from Ball State University with a degree in property management. While I was there, I did an internship with a different apartment community. From there, it advanced me into my assistant manager position. Doing an internship is very valuable because it'll allow you to figure out if this is even the career that you want to pursue after you graduate. It will also give you the opportunity to figure out if the company that you do an internship with is the one that you want to go with. I worked with maintenance, people management, leasing, corporate aspects, and I have learned all the worlds of property management. My IT background actually helped a lot at this job because everything that we're doing currently is turning into, computer-based.
After about 8 months, I was promoted to a community manager and now run everything for a 300-unit property that does over $500,000 worth of revenue per month.
Now I'm managing a $7 million budget with about 317 apartments, so it's very exciting. With our company, you actually do get a rent benefit. Being in the same building and working there is just the best. You don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about, carpooling, anything. It's just you're right there. You just have to push the elevator, go downstairs, and you're there. Because I've chosen this field, I feel like I've progressed faster and make more money than other friends that went into different career fields.
It was just something where I think I just needed a job, and this ended up working out to be more than I thought it would be. Getting a promotion when you're 18 is a big deal.
It's exactly what I wanted without even knowing what I wanted.
I hope everybody enjoyed the video. And now we'd like to discuss what we are here for, is how to find that job and ace your interview. And I'm going to pass it over to Rob to discuss exactly that.
Hi, everyone. So we've got a lot of great information to talk to you about today, and we're going to get into how to prepare for the interview, how to get your resume ready to go, but it really all starts here, right? You actually have to find the job that you want to apply for. So you can see on your screen there where to find apartment job postings. And there's a list of items that we've got up there that I'm going to walk through. We'll talk about them a little bit. But then I really want to spend my time talking about just a few of them that I think are the absolute best places to find any and all of our jobs out there. So the first two that you're going to see up there on the screen are going to be apartmentjobs.com, hcareers.com, both fantastic sites. There are actually several different sites that are out there that are really just specific job posting boards for the apartment industry. Apartmentjobs.com would be one of those. And then you've got H Careers, which is a hospitality industry driven site where those jobs can be posted as well. And I can tell you from our perspective, when we're out recruiting, we are actively recruiting hospitality majors, just because there's such a such a shared culture in terms of hotels and restaurant management. Hospitality is definitely something that we look for. The customer service piece is still there. So H Careers might be an option as well. A few of the other ones you see in addition down there, apartmentcareers.com, another apartment-specific job site that we may post to. And then you've got Indeed.com, and that to me is probably the #1 site that I would recommend to all of you. So I'm going to swing back around to that one in just a minute. Social media. Yeah, everybody out there, and I'm sure everybody on this call today has got a Facebook account. Hopefully, all of you have a LinkedIn account. If you don't, I'm going to encourage you to create one as soon as this call is over, because it is an absolutely important, if not crucial, piece to finding a job. And if you're familiar with LinkedIn, then you're able to go out there. I would recommend start looking through the groups. There are a lot of fantastic groups for local and national apartment associations. There's a lot of groups out there that are just specific to the multifamily industry. And when you start connecting with these groups and seeing the postings, you will find that a lot of companies out there are actually posting their jobs on LinkedIn, as well as lots of other places. But speaking from my perspective, we actively market jobs out on LinkedIn. We're always putting things out there because it's an entirely different audience that you've got on LinkedIn. And in my opinion, it's a fantastic way to really look for and find a job, or maybe be made aware of a job that you otherwise wouldn't have known existed if you weren't on LinkedIn, or excuse me, following a particular company or involved in a particular group. And the same thing for Facebook. We've gotten to a point in the evolution of social media where it's not just for being social anymore. Certainly we have all of our friends that are there, but just about every company that's out there is going to have a Facebook page. Again, if you're looking to get into this industry, it's all about connecting. So finding the different companies, following them on Facebook, you're going to be able to access, again, a lot of different posts for what's going on with a particular company. It's going to give you a lot of good insight as to how active in social media, social marketing is this company, what are some of the inside things that are going on. But then again, you have jobs. And it seems kind of like a weird place to look for a job. But the truth is, a lot of companies are putting their jobs out there. I can tell you from Gables' perspective, you can go to our Gables Residential Facebook page, and you can actually click a link on the left-hand side of that page from Facebook, and every single one of our job postings that we would have available and open on our career site from Gables.com is right there. So you don't even have to go out to Gables.com or see that there's something open. You can apply online straight from Facebook, and we've actually opened it up so that you're able to use your Facebook account to start the application process. Another great one that you see there in the middle is Craigslist. And Craigslist is another fantastic way to look for a job. And this is another place that we are all actively posting a lot of the jobs that we have available in our company. So we will go out, we'll create a job posting, and from there you'll be able to see what's open, where's the community at, and then you may learn of a new company or somebody that you hadn't thought of before that has a job opening, or you may see the company out there that you're looking for and know that, okay, well, I need to go out to that company's website and begin that application process. A couple of other good options that you see there, your university career office. A lot of candidates that are looking for jobs in the apartment industry are currently working on a degree, in some cases, in residential property management, hospitality, real estate, a lot of different degree programs, management, and many of our companies, Gables, Pinnacle, Equity, a lot of the companies that are out there, we're actively marketing and recruiting with your actual career office. So stopping by, or in some of the publications that may come out of there, you may see the jobs that we have available. And that's going to give you a great opportunity to reach out. It's possible there may be a connection there. Somebody working in your career office may know directly one of us or a recruiter at the company, and You may be able to reach out directly to get more information, to be able to have somebody that you can ask direct questions to. So don't ever hesitate to look at your career office and see what kind of job opportunities they may be aware of in our industry. And then the last one that you see down there is the good old Google search. It's good for just about anything that you may ever possibly need. But going out to Google and typing in there apartment jobs or leasing professional jobs, Dallas, Texas, you're going to get results. It's going to bring things up. And again, it's all about exposure. So there are many, many companies that work in the apartment industry. So when you do a Google search, it's going to be very broad. You're going to get a lot of results, and like all Google results typically show, some of them may be applicable, some of them may not, but you may actually find something that you otherwise wouldn't have known was there. Now, a couple of them that aren't listed on here, and I think it's just, we'll say, not even an industry standard, just a standard for anybody looking for a job, but absolutely relevant, something that you need to make sure you're considering, and you're probably already out there anyway. But you do still have Monster.com. You do still have CareerBuilder.com. Fantastic sites, massive job boards. You're able to go out and search for a specific job on either of those and see what it results. The two different boards, some companies participate in one but not the other, or some companies may actually participate in both, so that's something to keep in mind. But when I talk about Indeed.com, it may save you a little bit of trouble there. But Monster, Career Builder, fantastic places to go out online and look for specific jobs that are open. In addition to that, and there's so many different companies out there, we certainly wouldn't be able to list them all here, but each individual company is going to have their own website. And on that website, each of us are going to have a careers page, and obviously any and all jobs that we have posted for our respective markets are going to be out on the careers page. And you're going to see a lot of fantastic tools as technology advances. Majority of companies are trying to leverage as much of it as possible. So you'll actually find some really cool things that you might not see on any of these other boards if you're on the specific company's website. Things such as text alerts is something that you can set up with a lot of companies, where maybe you're looking for a leasing professional job and you want to go ahead and set up a text alert so that anytime a leasing professional job comes open for that particular company, the system will actually send you a text. And you'll get it there on your mobile phone, and you'll be able to see that, oh, okay, this particular company just opened up a new leasing professional job, so I need to go out there and I need to look for it. So it's definitely something, and as you start doing your research and learning more and more about each individual company and start deciding on the different companies that you would be interested in working for, you definitely have to make sure you're visiting that website, understanding what's going on, how the website's set up, and looking for the jobs that are posted out there. So I've said a couple of times that I was going to swing back around to Indeed.com. Many of you may have already heard this. A lot of you have probably used Indeed.com. This, to me, is kind of where it all comes together. So there's 7 or 8 different separate websites that we've got out there, and that's not counting the dozens and dozens of specific company websites that are there. Indeed.com is the Google search of jobs for the nation. So instead of going to Google, Indeed.com is going to really be a lot more specific for looking for a job. It's a meta search engine is what it's called, and that doesn't matter, but that's what type of search engine it is. And basically what it does, if you go out to Indeed.com and you type in there that you're looking for a leasing professional job in Atlanta, Georgia, it essentially searches the entire web, and it brings back a list of results. And in that result, it's going to show you all the leasing professional jobs or everything relevant that it found that you might be interested in. But the really cool thing about Indeed.com is that it searches all of these websites. So everything that you see here, the apartment jobs, the specific company websites, the career builders, the monsters, all the job boards that are out there, it goes through and searches all of those and delivers you a list of results for all the leasing professional jobs that are there. So yeah, I'll speak on behalf of Gables. We post all of our jobs on Career Builder, but we no longer post any of our jobs on Monster.com. So if you were exclusively looking on Monster, you're not going to find any jobs that are open for Gables Residential. You'd have to be on Career Builder. But if you were using Indeed.com, it's not going to matter. because it's going to search them all. It's going to find jobs from CareerBuilder.com or Gables.com or any other site that's out there that has a leasing professional or assistant community manager or service technician opening. It's all going to be there. And then when you actually click the link, it'll take you where you need to go. So if it found the job on CareerBuilder, when you click the link for that job, it's going to take you to CareerBuilder where you can then apply. If it found the job on the Equity Residential website, then it's actually going to take you to that website so that you can then apply. So I see, when I go back and I look and see where all of our candidates are coming from, I'm seeing somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60% of our applicants coming from Indeed.com. So I know the majority of people looking to work for Gables Residential, this is where they're coming from. This is where they're finding us. So I really want to encourage everybody to use that because, in my opinion, it really does make life easier in searching for a job. But you definitely do have the other job boards. There's a lot of fantastic ones out there. CareerBuilder is amazing. We love working with them. We love working with Facebook and using social media to get all of our postings out there. And then outside of the actual sites that you have here, the one last thing that I would like to leave you with, and this is definitely something that I want to encourage all of you to look into as well, excuse me, is understanding the position titles. Because just like searching for anything on Google or using Indeed.com where you're searching for a job and it's usually going to be a pretty general search, a lot of different companies in the apartment industry title their positions different things. And sometimes it matters, and sometimes it doesn't. So if you're looking for a leasing job, you could probably type in leasing and Washington, D.C., and it's going to give you a list of results. The more specific you can be, the better your results are going to be, but you're probably going to find a good number of all of our jobs. But when you start getting into assistant property manager, that's when you start finding things that are going to be in the nature of, well, some people call it a community manager, some people call it a property manager, some people have something that's completely different. So the search terms that you're using really can determine the results that you're getting. So you want to learn as much as you can about what all the different titles are, so that maybe you do a search for property manager, and then maybe you do a search for community manager, so that you can really increase the number of results and get a good idea of who are the different companies that are hiring for this job in my area, and aren't going to be limited to just whatever the search results that you typed in may have found. But there's a lot of fantastic sites out there. And I wouldn't tell you to limit it to any one. Like I said, Indeed.com is fantastic, but absolutely go out to CareerBuilder and look there. Maybe Indeed missed something, or maybe the search criteria wasn't there to deliver the perfect job for you. At the same time, as I mentioned, social media is incredibly important, so make sure you're connecting and following the different companies that you're interested in, all the different groups for the multifamily industry, because a lot of jobs are going to come through on those postings. And then the other resources you have there, apartment jobs, apartmentcareers.com, all fantastic. Going out to Craigslist and clicking on the jobs link and typing in leasing and the city that you're looking for and seeing what shows up. But truthfully, it's all about finding the job. And all of our companies work very hard to make sure that those jobs are there and accessible, and you're going to be able to find them, so that if you want to work for us, you're certainly going to have the opportunity. But at the same time, the more of these resources that you leverage, the more likely it is that you're going to find that perfect opening for you and be able to get in there and start the application process and start getting your resume ready, and then, of course, start getting ready for the interview, which are going to be our next two topics.
Okay, now that you, as Rob has stated, you've actually located the position that you would like to apply for, we have some tips for you to actually utilize for building your resume to make sure that you get noticed versus other candidates that are applying for the same position. One of the things that we highly recommend is that when you locate that opening, that ad that's actually positioned on one of those different websites or job boards, review the job description. Really look and understand what it is saying and tailor your resume to that specific position. Understanding that we receive quite a few resumes for every position that we have open, you want to position yourself for your resume to be noticed over someone else's. We want to make sure that you try to avoid unnecessary type of clip art or design work, because a lot of times these job boards will not load those types of items correctly. So try to keep your resume simple and clean, and again, making it tailored to that specific position. Look at what the responsibilities are including. Look at specific kind of keywords or activator words that you may have something that you can latch on with regards to your experience. And it doesn't necessarily have to be experience that is specific to an employment opportunity, but things that you may have done in other types of positions, such as internship, maybe volunteer work, maybe you worked for a family business, maybe you, again, the volunteer work, anything that you can draw a correlation or a relationship to on those activator words, I think are going to be extremely important in helping your resume stand out from the other candidates. And as Rob said, we post a variety of positions on those different job boards. We can be looking for leasing consultants or leasing associates, which is more of a sales position. We can be recruiting for resident activity coordinators, which are more customer service oriented and maybe do some event planning. We have marketing positions. We have, service technician positions, which is more facilities or maintenance type positions. So really looking at those job descriptions and seeing what you've done and how you can showcase your experience and skill set in a fashion that will attract our attention specific to that position. If you are looking at a number of positions that you could possibly apply, so maybe you're looking at a marketing position, also a leasing consultant position, do not use the same resume for each of those positions because those keywords and those responsibilities are going to change from position to position, and that resume should be specific to that position that you're looking for because those activator or keywords are going to be different based on that job role. So having multiple resumes is actually going to be an advantage for you so that you're tailoring how you're showcasing your talent to most match that particular position that we have available. Also, it is very important for you to enhance your personal impact of that job. And you can do that in a variety of ways. One, in, again, kind of pointing out the features of where you fit in with your skill set and so forth. But it's also in the cover letter that you're addressing, aligning how you may stand out differently than somebody else. So, you could state something to the effect of, in looking in this position, I have a number of characteristics that align perfectly with this, with this particular role within Gables or within Equity or within Pinnacle family of companies. And that skill set is, or the characters are, and then listing those and giving some type of, again, a correlation of how you would be the best person for that position. We prefer for you to have it, again, in that clean format so that you don't have loading issues when you're putting it into that job board. But also, if you can, try to keep it to one page. Again, the reason is we have a number of resumes that we're actually reviewing, and you want those skills and those things that you're putting on that resume to be very specific, very detailed, very almost like laser focused, so that we can, kind of do a cursory glance through that and say, okay, this person looks like they definitely have the skill set that is specific to the position that we have open. Makes it much easier for us to read, and readability is extremely important because there are times we have hundreds of resumes that we're actually reviewing before we start doing calls for phone interviews and personal interviews. So anything that you can do to make it easier for us will make it advantageous for you to get that phone call. One of the things that's also critical, understanding that in almost all positions in our industry, both written and verbal communication skills are extremely important. So the more that you can communicate who you are and how your skill set aligns, and you're really giving us a visual representation of you by the way that you've actually designed your resume, it's going to be extremely important. Make sure that you have someone else review it. Make sure that you utilize spell check. But sometimes spell check can also be kind of an enemy because obviously if you're using the word from and you really meant to say form, then it's not going to catch those types of things. So that's why you want to utilize friends, family, other resources that you possibly can to review that resume to make sure that it has good flow, that it is easy to read, that it has addressed the job description, so you're aligning your skill set with that particular job, and that you have presented all the information that you need to present in order to showcase your talent. Sometimes folks will have a tendency to undersell themselves. Sometimes other folks will oversell themselves. So you want somebody else to be able to give you some feedback about how you've presented that particular resume. Proof it multiple times. Again, because in our industry, a lot of things that we're doing have legal ramifications, and so we want to make sure that we're, attracting associates that are detail-oriented, and this is a great way for us to get to know you and know how detail-oriented you are by how you are actually representing yourself. So again, just kind of in summary, review the job description. That's going to be absolutely critical. Make sure that you're tailoring your resume, using those key activator words. Make sure that you're showcasing that skill set that you have, whether it be through employment or through other avenues such as volunteer work, internship, family business, and making sure that you are positioning your resume in the best light that you possibly can for that specific job. Now, Jamie's going to give you some additional items that you can utilize to try to make yourself stand out.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. I want to talk to everybody a little bit more about the interview process, both the steps you might want to take before an interview and how to put your best foot forward on that interview day itself. One thing I wanted to mention is something to think about is that as soon as you put your resume out there, as soon as you start applying to jobs online or contacting people in a professional industry, you should be ready and prepared to start receiving phone calls from employers, professional phone calls, and you even want to put your best foot forward when it comes to what impression you're making with your voicemail recording, with your ringback tone. I sometimes have called candidates and they have one of those, I think it's called a ringback tone, where you can put a song in so the person calling you hears a song rather than a phone ringing. Think a little bit about the song you've chosen. There have been times that I've been hesitant after I've heard a song that somebody chose to put on their phone just because it was inappropriate or just didn't really make a very good impression. So think a little bit about that. Maybe just a basic ringtone is fine. And then think about your voicemail recording. If you sound half asleep, or if you are saying something joking around, that might be fine when you were in school, but when you're actually out there applying to a job, think about the fact that your voicemail recording could be the first impression you make on an employer. And if you do pick up the phone, if you know you've been applying to jobs and anytime the phone rings it could be an employer, just make sure you only pick up the phone when you're really ready to talk if you don't recognize that number. If the phone wakes you up, you might not want to pick it up if you don't know who's calling. If you're in a crowded store or somewhere that you can't hear or where you have to whisper, might not be the right time to take that call. It's actually probably better to let it go to voicemail and call back, in my opinion. Any impression you make on an employer, any first impression could stick. So just make sure that you're prepared as soon as you start applying to, be ready to respond to phone calls professionally, and that will help you secure that interview. So on the day of your actual interview, of course, there's some basic do's and don'ts that you probably heard 1,000 times. It might sound really obvious, but I do think it's important to just go through and say from an industry insider what we do look for when it comes to the way you show up for an interview. So of course, it's important to be on time to an interview, and you should really be familiar about where you're going and have researched that before. If it's an unfamiliar area, you might want to do a test drive or ask somebody that works in that area how long it takes them, and always, always plan for traffic or plan for something to go wrong or to get lost, and make sure you give yourself more than enough time to arrive on time for your interview. Also, I would make sure that when you're getting an interview scheduled, whether you're talking to someone in human resources or the hiring manager themselves that's going to be meeting with you, Find out if they don't offer the information. Find out if you're going to need to do anything upon arrival, if you're going to need to fill out an application when you get to the office. Maybe they'll send it to you beforehand. Maybe you don't need to do it. But if there is some sort of paperwork, you'll need to arrive earlier than you would otherwise. If there's nothing that you need to do, if you've taken care of the preliminary steps, either applied online or filled something out that they've emailed you, then there is such a thing as being too early for an interview. It might sound a little confusing to say be on time and be early, but don't be too early. But you know, I personally think, as a recruiter and someone that has a busy day and lots of people to see and phone calls to take throughout the day, if I get a call from the front lobby that my person that I'm interviewing at 1 o'clock is here at 12 or 12:15, and I know they don't have to fill out an application, that's a little too early for me. I'm going to feel bad that this person's sitting up there, but I can't see them yet. So just know there's such a thing as too early. If you're all ready to go, 10, 15 minutes ahead of your interview time is great. You really don't need to be any earlier than that unless you've been instructed to arrive 30 minutes early to fill out an application. Again, with the application, if you are given an actual paper application to complete, make sure that you do fill it out completely. Again, like your resume, this is an opportunity to make an impression on the employer as far as your organization skills, your attention to detail. So don't miss any questions. Don't misread the questions. We have a question that says, we have two questions that say, one says, are you willing to take a drug test? And one says, are you currently using any illegal drugs? Make sure you check the right answer to those questions. Some people just skim and they check yes or no, and they check it opposite of what they meant. Just, again, pay attention. And if there's a section where they want you to fill in your employment history, make sure you do fill it out. We don't want you to just write "see resume." If we're asking for it on an application, then we do need it filled out on that application. So just be thorough and fill it out exactly as it's asked. Of course, dressing for success is a part of any professional interaction. The interview is your time to make an impression and show us what we would be dealing with every day on our properties and how you would be showing up for your boss and for your customers. So you can never, ever go wrong wearing a suit to an interview, and this goes for both men and women. It may be that the company actually has a more relaxed dress code. That's something you can learn during your interviewing process. You will never lose points for showing up in a suit to an interview. So make sure you do have a good, classic, good fitting suit that you can wear. Gentlemen, throw on a tie. Make sure your shirt is ironed and pressed, and ladies, same for you. It's okay to have a little bit of personality in what you're wearing, but at the same time, you want to err on the side of conservative, I would say. When it comes to your jewelry and your accessories for ladies, you want to, err on the side of conservative. And again, if there is more of an opportunity to dress differently on the job, that's something that you'll learn once you start working there. So when it comes to, if you've gotten a manicure recently and it's bright yellow, maybe that's fashionable, but it's probably not the right choice to wear to an interview. If you have piercings, a nose ring, or extra earrings, that might be against your company's dress code. So if you can remove anything like that for the interview, again, just being as polished and presentable as possible. And if there's any flexibility with the company's dress code, you'll find that out, and you can interject your personality and personal style later if it's appropriate with that company. Of course, for the interview itself, you just want to be prepared. You want to have done your homework on the company, spend some time on the website, and learn as much as you can. We put a lot of information there for a reason, and so it's always great to show up and show that you're not just looking for a job and needing to get hired so you can start making money. You're interested in this company for these specific reasons. So know about the company. We don't expect you to know everything. During the interview, we want to teach you more about our company, but we want to know that you're engaged and that you've taken some time to learn some key points about our organization. And come prepared with some questions. If the interviewer flips it to you at the end of the interview and asks if you have any questions and the answer is no, that might come across as a lack of interest or engagement on your part. So have some questions, some good, thoughtful questions that that you're prepared to answer, or I'm sorry, that you're prepared to ask. And there's a difference. There's the more insightful questions where you really want to get more into the specific aspects of the role. You don't want to just ask, tell me about the leasing consultant's responsibilities, because you're supposed to already have read about that. So you can ask something specific about the sales method that the company likes to use, or something more involved. It's not really the time to ask about what are my hours, or how often do I get paid. Those kind of basic questions you should probably be finding out naturally through the process. So you want to ask something that's a little bit more involved and thoughtful. And as far as just your responses for an interview, you want to have practiced that a little bit as well. A lot of employers these days use behavioral interviewing, which some of you may have had experience with or heard of before. But that's basically employers that will ask you to give examples of situations you've handled so that we can see how your past behaviors in certain situations may indicate your performance or behavior in situations you might encounter with our job. So looking at a job description, if you see that it's all about customer service, think about it. Think about a time that you've handled a difficult customer. Or if you don't have a lot of work experience, think about a time that you've handled a difficult personality, whether that was in a school group, in in an extracurricular activity, a project you were working on, anything that comes to mind. Problem-solving abilities. Those are the types of things that you want to just spend some time thinking about, make some notes. If you get thrown a question and put on the spot, it's sometimes hard to have something come right to mind. That's okay. We understand people do get nervous in an interview. It's a situation with pressure. But, if you've practiced a little and prepared yourself a little bit, then you'll just be in an even better situation. So spend some time practicing, seeing how you sound, seeing if you have any nervous tics, if you tend to say like a lot or a lot when you're talking. Try to work on that a little bit before going in for an interview if you know there's a nervous word that you like to throw in. But again, know that we do understand that it is a nerve-wracking process. We like to see that you're engaged and interested, so a little bit of nerves aren't the end of the world, because that means we know you're very interested in the job. But the more prepared you are beforehand, the more you can really combat those nerves on the day of. And then one other thing about preparing, since we are in the apartment industry, and a lot of times we're looking at leasing consultant type roles where you have to really know the community and know the market, it's bonus points if you've spent some time actually shopping that community. If you've driven to the apartment complex and toured it yourself, if you come in with that knowledge and you tell me that you went and shopped the property that you're applying for, that's pretty much bonus points in my book, because you've taken even more time to show your dedication, and you're coming in even a little bit more prepared about what the job is going to entail and what are a little bit more about an inside look at our company. So there's a whole lot of things that can go into a job interview. I could talk about it all day, but I'll turn it over to anyone else that has something to interject from our panel of experts, or else we'll just move on to following up after an interview. And I think Rob was going to talk about following up.
Okay, great. So the next thing that we can all talk to you about is the actual follow-up process. So you found the job, you got your resume all set up so that it speaks directly to that job. It stood out. We saw it. You were able to get in for the interview. You did a fantastic job. You came prepared. You asked great questions, and the interview is concluded. And now you've left, and now it's about the lasting impression. So you've made your first impression. That part is done. So great news. Now it's the lasting impression that comes after, and that's really what follow-up all comes down to. So it is absolutely still necessary to ensure that you follow up after any interview that you go on. So you can see a couple there. It's not a difficult process. When you're going through the process of an interview, make sure that you walk out of that interview with a business card or contact information that you know how to reach this person. You can remember who you spoke with. And then the first thing you see there is send an email, or a handwritten note. So, either of these are fantastic. We live in a world of technology. I think just about everybody these days loves email. So within a reasonable period of time after the interview, you definitely want to draft a professional, well-thought-out email that you can send to the person that you interviewed. You want to think about the things that you discussed during the actual interview, and as you went through the process, you want to try and recall some of those items so that you can really have one more opportunity to sell yourself to that particular company and tell us why you think you would be a fantastic fit for us in this role. If you've done your research and you've been through the interview, you should know infinitely more about the company that you just interviewed with than you would have before you came in. So really try and capture some of those items when you send that email. And then you also have the handwritten note. It's, I guess we'll say the classic, that after an interview, also, sending the email, I'll say within, a 24-hour time frame. The email is not something that you want to go back to your car and pull out your iPhone and draft an email immediately right then. You want to give it a little bit of breathing room, but not too much. Like Jamie just said, there's lots going on. Everybody's got busy days, but at the same time, we want to make sure that that you are following up, and that after the interview is completed, you're sending that in. But at the same time, sending that handwritten note, it's going to take a few days to get it in the mail and for it to get there, and a lot of us do travel, so we may not get it for 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week, because we're out of the office and coming back. But it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to come in and go check your mailbox and to see that one of the candidates you just interviewed, not only did they send me an email to follow up and say thank you and talk to me a little bit about the things that they believe would make them a great fit for my company or our company, but to also get that handwritten note, which comes in a few days later, and it's that other reminder of, okay, this person is really interested, really engaged. They took 5-10 minutes out of their day to actually write a note out with pen and paper, put a stamp on it, and send it in. And, in all honesty, we don't see that very much. There aren't too many things these days that actually come in the mail. So it's an important piece. So you definitely want to make sure you follow up via email, and I recommend doing a handwritten note as well to make sure that you're really getting your name out there and that you are leaving a memorable impression. And then there's the big one of don't follow up too much. As part of any interview process, you should ask what the process is from there. Try and get a better understanding of where that company's at in the interviewing process, what's going on, so you can kind of have a general timeline for when is the decision going to be made. Things change on a daily basis, so in an interview it might be within the next week, but you never know what happened 10 minutes after you walked out that door, and a week may turn into 2 weeks. So you do want to follow up, but at the same time, you don't want to be the person that, at 9:05 every morning you're putting in a phone call to the person that you interviewed saying, did you find somebody? Am I still in? Am I there? Am I there? You want to do it in moderation. So if you left and it was a decision was going to be made in roughly a week, then maybe you want to give it approximately a week before you follow up to see what the status is. And if it's a process of 2 weeks, maybe still you want to give it a week or a week and a half to follow up. Patience is really, really key. So you want to make sure you stay in the forefront. You want to make sure that you do follow up if you were brought in for an interview. But really think about how often you're following up and the methods that you're following up. And are you sending an email every other day? Because you really can go too far where it becomes, now you're a person that's calling every day, and it can start to work against you. We know that the intentions are good, that you're just really interested and you're really excited about the opportunity, but definitely keep all of that in mind and make sure that you temper the amount of follow-up that you have to a professional level. And that's really where being professionally persistent comes into play there. It's really not following up too much, but making sure that you are following up and that you're using the appropriate methods to follow up, whether it's a phone call or whether it's an email that you're sending in to follow up. That's all things that you want to make sure you're there, but at the same time not going too overboard or too far with follow-up to the extent that it's just getting to be too much. So follow-up is extremely important, but pay attention to those last couple of bullet points and make sure you keep it professional as you're going through that process. And I think we had another video that we were going to bring up, but I will open it up to Michelle. Jamie, anything that I missed there regarding follow-up?
No, think you hit it. It's definitely, we like the eagerness. We love the passion. We like to know that you're, excited about joining our team, but definitely don't have the stalker mentality, because it can be, it can be a little bit overwhelming when that's the case. But follow up, within 24 hours, and then, every couple days after that. And if you haven't heard anything after maybe 2 weeks, maybe a follow-up phone call to let us know that you're still interested and you're, looking forward to next steps is definitely appropriate.
I would agree with you both. I think you said it all. It is important, especially in a job where we are going to count on you to follow up with our customers in a timely manner, follow up with our residents. It's important to show us how you're going to do that just by doing it with the interviewer. So that email, I think a lot of us are very dependent on our email these days. So getting that quick note, but that does highlight again what specifically interested you in the position in the company and why you'd be an asset, and thanking us for our time is critical. And much like your resume and everything else, proofread before you send that. If you're sending it from a smartphone, watch out for that crazy autocorrect and make sure that it says what you mean for it to say. And then the handwritten note, like Rob was saying, that's a really nice touch if you add that in as well. Once you've made sure that they've gotten that prompt response from you, and yeah, just walking that fine line of remaining engaged in the process, but not being the candidate that calls so frequently that that it kind of discourages us from wanting to call back. It's a fine line to walk, but we really do appreciate the eagerness of a candidate after the interview to that extent.
Thank you to all of our experts. Great information, and we hope you consider a career in the apartment industry. And while we are discussing this information, I wanted to share with you another quick video. This is from the NAAEI Get Real Career Video Challenge.
Hi, my name is Julie, and I'm a property manager with Ginga Residential. On a daily basis, Are you graduating or thinking about changing careers? And what are you waiting for? Contact your local apartment association to get started today.
So we hope you will get started today. I'm going to open it up to the floor to ask questions. I know we have some time left, and some of you have sent in some questions. One of them is, I think, a really good question, is what should the handwritten note contain? And I know you all touched on that, but simply put, what should that note contain? And we will send out some resources after this webinar today.
I would say, oh, did everybody start talking?
That's okay, Jamie. Go ahead.
I would say, a handwritten note, it doesn't have to be, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be a really long one, because when you're writing it out, that's of course takes sometimes a little bit more time than typing something up. So just a really genuine thank you. Dear, Ms. Preskey, thank you again so much for taking the time to meet with me and discuss the exciting opportunities with Equity Residential. I really enjoyed learning about the company and the positions available, and I hope to become a part of the Equity Residential team. Something along those lines, I think, is your basic form to play with, and if you want to throw in a quick reiteration of how you see yourself being successful. But I think a handwritten note, it's really the personal touch and the thought that counts. Not so much about being a long piece of communication, more of a quick thank you again sort of thing. That's my opinion.
And this is Michelle. I think one of the things that really helps me kind of identify with, a candidate is when, again, as Jamie said, thanking, for the time and that you're excited about the position, but also kind of going back through the interview and picking out 1 or 2 items at the most that you took away from the interview about how you think you would fit in with our team. So, we may have had a conversation about something and you picked something out of that, stating that, okay, when we were, talking about the role or talking about the organization, something that resonated with me that you said, I really think that I would fit in well because of X, Y, and Z. Just, again, reiterating something unique about you that you think that, why you think you would stand out or be a best fit for that position, I think is very, very powerful.
I completely agree with both Jamie and Michelle. I think your email follow-up is really where you've got a little more space and a little more room to go a little bit more in-depth. Obviously, when you're sending a thank you note, they're typically fairly small, and you're limited on space. But at the same time, keep in mind that you don't want an email that's too long. And then exactly that it's your another opportunity for you to capitalize on things that you've learned, or share something that really excited you as part of the conversation, and follow up that email follow-up that you just sent in with that piece.
Great, thank you. The next question comes in, which I think is a great one. How can I get into the industry even though I might not have a background or education in that area?
Fantastic question, and probably one of the top 3 questions that I get asked as I'm out recruiting, and I'm sure Michelle and Jamie too. Again, it's think about everything that we've talked about and everything that we've learned on this call as far as preparing your resume for that particular job. What experience do you have? Really write your resume to the specific job description and what that company has told you through the job description that they're really looking for, what the responsibilities are going to be. Doing your research on the company, understanding who they are. You can use all of that to make your resume stand out and get out there and capitalize on the experience that you do have or what you have done that makes any apartment management company that's out there in the U.S. You'll see that, okay, this person has potential. Personally, I'm of the opinion that the vast majority of things that you need to be successful in this industry or with my company, you can learn. So, each company can teach you the basics of leasing an apartment, or how to use the software system that they use, or what the standard operating procedures are, the different forms. But it's really those other things, like you've heard several times, the customer service mentality, the items like that you've got to have that to be successful in the company. So if that's what you have, you want to capitalize on that, and then the rest of it is something that you can learn once you're hired on in the job and get into the training program and start working through those different things. So just make sure when you read your resume, the things that it would tell you about you are what you want it to be, that it's going to speak to the recruiter, the HR, the hiring manager, person that's looking at it and make somebody go, I think this person may just have potential.
Thanks, Rob. To sort of dovetail on this question, the other question that comes in, which is a great one as well, in the instance of applying for a higher position for which you might not have experience or the required length of experience, is it worth applying if you feel like you have the ability and work experience to do the job?
I think this sort of can vary case by case. Just within reason, I think it's okay to stretch beyond something that you've had experience in. Sometimes when I'm going through resumes, I see that somebody has applied for our entry-level customer support position, and they've also applied for a leasing consultant position. And then I look at the resume and I see, okay, I don't see leasing on here. I don't see sales yet, but I see some potential in the bones of this resume, and let me talk to this candidate and see if they really would come in at that lower level and work their way up. Or maybe they blow me away so much with their the interview and with examples that they pull from something else outside of basic work experience, and maybe I do reconsider leasing. If you're just graduating from school and you don't have a lot of work experience yet, you don't really want to throw your resume in for a property manager position when you haven't had any management experience or an extensive amount of management experience, because to me that shows maybe you didn't really closely read this job description, and maybe the expectations are a little bit unrealistic. So I don't know. In some cases it might be okay to go for it, but sometimes I do see that somebody's applying for a part-time concierge position and also a regional manager position, and I wonder what's going on that somebody would apply for two things on such opposite ends of the spectrum. So it does, you don't want to just apply to everything in sight, but if you do think that you can spin something else from your background or volunteer experience to really be a fit for what you're applying for, this is an example, too, of a case where I think a cover letter or an introductory paragraph, if you can upload something like that in addition to your resume with the website that really explains why you think you're qualified, that would help. If your resume doesn't just automatically point me to the skills that make you a fit for this, put a little bit more into it with maybe a cover letter or some additional information. But don't stretch too far beyond what you've actually had experience in.
And one thing that I would add to that is, as you're coming in, if you're coming into the apartment industry new and you've never worked in it before, you want to set yourself up for success. So you may have a great deal of experience with, accounts receivable and bookkeeping and a lot of those, which, are a big piece of a typical, not always, but, typical assistant community manager. Certainly you can apply for that, but, think forward as far as the future and making sure that you're going to be in a good place and that you're going to be really there and able to do that job. And a lot of times, or in our industry, every job builds on the previous one. So if you come in as a leasing professional, you're going to learn a lot of valuable skills, a lot about the culture of the company, really understand what that assistant community manager position is there and what they do, and you're going to be able to take everything that you learn in that period of time, and it's going to make you, a lot more, or you're going to be able to sell yourself a lot better with your previous skills in a shorter amount of time to move forward to that position. So, as you're looking at it and you may think, okay, great, that's the one I want, I'm perfect for that, keep that in mind that, maybe it wouldn't hurt to, apply for that job if you want, but, maybe it wouldn't hurt to apply for a leasing professional job just to give yourself that time to focus on those skills, the leasing, learning that piece of it, because you're going to use that in the next job, and you'll use it as a community manager as you progress, and your background's always going to be there. So, really just think forward into the future as far as what's the best way for me to get into the industry and set myself up for success and being able to leverage everything I have. And as Jamie said, sometimes with your cover letter and the experience that you have, you may be a perfect fit to come in and start at a different level besides leasing or as a service technician. But at the same time, sometimes you do need to consider maybe I need to start there, and I'll be able to use my background and experience to help me advance faster once I'm in the door.
This is Michelle. I would agree with what Jamie and Rob are saying. I think also one of the things that really is go back to the job description. A lot of times we have soft skills and we have, what we consider hard skills. And the soft skills are more of the customer service orientation. And a lot of times there's a little bit more flexibility in that, where some of those hard skills are not as flexible. And I can give you a great example. We have a very large marketing department, and we hire, we hire internet specialists. And those particular individuals have to have SEO and SEM experience. They have had to work in the back end of Google, understand HTML coding, and a variety of things. It would be a stretch to hire somebody who doesn't have that skill set, and it would be an impediment to the team in some instances. So I think really looking at that job description and saying, okay, as Jamie said, is it too far of a stretch? Do you have a basic foundation, or do you have no foundation? And sometimes if it's a no foundation, then it's probably a little bit, it's too much of a stretch for those hard skills. So really look at that job description and make that determination.
Great. Thank you all so much for some great feedback. We have time for one more question.
Do potential employers use social media such as Facebook to do a background check on me?
Great question.
This is Michelle. I can tell you from our organization, we do not.
And that would be the same for Gables.
Same for Equity as well. We do an a more official background check through a company that will verify employment history and motor vehicle records and criminal background and all of that. But we don't we don't do the other more informal searching around.
That was a great question, but it's good to know that you might want to clean up any social media that you might have that could be embarrassing to an employer for you personally. And I want to thank all of our experts again. Rob, fantastic feedback. I have his contact information on the screen. Rob is with Gables Residential. And I'd like to also thank Michelle. Michelle is with Pinnacle, and her contact information is also on the screen. So hopefully you can, if you do have additional questions, you can reach out to the experts directly. And of course, we have Jamie from Equity Residential. And this PowerPoint presentation, as well as all of the recorded webinar, will be archived on our website for your review. And we are going to follow up with some additional resources, such as sample handwritten letters, a copy of the slide deck today, and a sample to help you with a community search if you did want to check out some properties in your area. I want to thank all of our experts and everybody for your great questions and your participation. On behalf of the National Apartment Association Education Institute, we are glad to wrap up the leap year day with Apartment Career Month on February. And if anybody has any other questions for us, please let us know, and we look forward to hearing from you. We hope you will consider a job in the apartment industry. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.